Beterbiev versus Bivol was more than just a fight. It was a clash of two of the most technically refined disciplined fighters in the sport today. Each fighter bringing their own unique style, honed through years of elite training, underpinned by the deep traditions of the old Soviet school of boxing. As seen with these two fighters, this school's produced some of the most methodical, precise, intelligent fighters the sport has ever seen. And both Beterbiev and Bivol embody those qualities to perfection. Their ability to control the ring, dictate the pace, and outthink their opponents has made them puzzles for every fighter they've faced. But what makes them so effective isn't just their physical prowess, but their technical brilliance, their mastery of the fundamentals, and their ability to execute strategies under pressure. In this breakdown, I'm going to delve into some of the signature moves and tactics that define their career so far, highlighting why these two are amongst the best in the world at what they do, and what makes their approach to boxing so exceptional and difficult to overcome. So on that note, let's get right into it. Let's start off with Dmitry Bivol, a fighter of technical brilliance and unwavering discipline that has made him one of the best in the sport. His style is deeply rooted in that Soviet school of boxing, a system that has produced countless of elite fighters through the amateur system, with a huge emphasis on strong fundamentals, precise technique, and strategic control. However, he isn't just your textbook Eastern European fighter. While he embodies the core principles of the Soviet style, we have seen him incorporate elements of the flashier American style movements at times. He'll drop his guard slightly to improve his balance, create angles, and add an element of unpredictability. Bivol has openly cited Roy Jones Jr. and Sugar Ray Leonard as inspirations, and you can see the glimpses of their influence in his approach at times. Whether it's his quick twitch reactions, his punch combinations, or his fluid footwork around the ring, he seamlessly blends defense with offense at times.
Many people from Russia said me, you have a Soviet Union style, yeah? And why they said that? Because I move a lot, I use my leg, and when I was young I loved to watch fights. Roy Jones, Sugar Ray Leonard, they moved a lot, and I took a couple things from their fights, but I don't know how it called my style.
But at its core, Bivol's style remains a masterclass in discipline and control. He doesn't rely on sheer explosiveness and knockout power. Instead, he systematically outmaneuvers, outworks, and outthinks his opponents. Whether he's up against an aggressive pressure fighter or a defensive technician, his ability to dictate the pace and capitalize on openings makes him one of the most effective boxers in the sport today. But let's look deeper into the elements of what makes him so good. Pendulum footwork is a rhythmic, bouncing motion where a fighter shifts their weight between the front and back foot in a continuous flow. And this movement allows boxers to stay light and mobile and ready to attack or evade at any moment, and was seen as instrumental in the old amateur Soviet system. In terms of Dmitry Bivol, he uses this in and out movement to allow him to control range, stay light on his feet, and dictate the pace. Unlike a flat-footed pressure fighter who plants their feet to help generate more power, Bivol on the other hand has the ability to constantly shift his weight between his feet, allowing him to glide in and out of striking distance with ease. This movement isn't just for show, it serves multiple purposes. One being distance control. Bivol can step in to land a quick-fire combination before immediately retreating before his opponent can even have the chance to counter. While it's also very energy efficient once mastered like Bivol. Instead of constantly moving laterally or backpedaling, the pendulum step allows him to stay mobile with minimal effort, while also helps with his feinting and rhythm disruption. The back and forth movement keeps opponents guessing whether he's going to attack or defend, making it harder for them to time their attacks, while it also sets up sudden offensive bursts when Bivol decides to exchange. We've seen this many times throughout his career, like his dominant performance against Canelo Alvarez, where he used it to avoid getting trapped against the ropes and to help set up his combination punching. While it also works when he's applying pressure on his opponent, forcing them onto the back foot. But what makes Bivol unique is how he combines that Eastern European footwork with a touch of the American style adaptability. He's never just bouncing in and out all the time. He also knows when to pause and plant with his feet and let his hands go at the right moment. His perfecting use of the pendulum footwork allows him to control space, one of the key reasons why he's so difficult to hit clean. In fact, he's one of the least hit fighters in the sport today. 13.8% according to CompuBox, pretty much on level with Shakur Stevenson, who's considered the best defensive boxer in the sport today.
Smith has again, it's strange to say when a guy's had his jaw broken twice, but he's got a good jaw.
Dmitry Bivol's jab isn't just a rangefinder, it's a weapon that defines his entire style. Arguably the most accurate jab in the sport today, Bivol lands at an exceptional 51.9% per round, with an average of 8.4 landing. But beyond the numbers, it's the way he uses it that makes it so effective. The jab is the foundation of his distance control and rhythm manipulation. By varying the speed, trajectory, placement, he keeps opponents guessing, sometimes flicking it to disrupt their guard, other times countering with it and stepping in with sharp, authoritative strikes to break the rhythm. It's not just defensive as well, it sets up his combinations, allows him to pivot out of danger, and keeps him in command of the fight's tempo. Another key aspect of Bivol's jab is how it serves as a psychological weapon. He's constantly touching, probing, and frustrating his opponents, making them hesitant to commit to their own offense. Even against aggressive fighters, his jab forces them to think twice before charging in, knowing they'll be met with a precise, stinging shot before they can close the gap.
How he springs into life, Bivol. Great speed. Look at the concentration on the face of Bivol.
A shotgun jab right there.
While sometimes you'll interchange it with the left hook to disrupt the opponent's rhythm even further.
Like the one day I'm not an MLB network, I'm talking Hall of.
There are some years too, Brian.
Oh, hard jab from Bivol. Smith looks hurt.
While using it to frame off and pivot out to a different direction, while even using it as a main counterpunching tool. As fights progress, Bivol's jab remains his most valuable asset. Whether to rack up points, control the pace, or force mistakes from his opponent, it's truly a masterclass in efficiency, discipline, and precision, making it one of the most effective jabs in modern boxing in my opinion. Now important to look at his counterpunching ability, and as you'd expect, it's built on precision, discipline, and deception. He doesn't just react to his opponent's offense, he actively manipulates their decisions, forcing them into traps where he can capitalize. One of his most effective tools is baiting opponents into throwing. He'll drop his lead hand or maintain a high guard, making it appear as if an opening is there. But these invitations are calculated. He's in fact already in a position to fire a counter the moment they commit.
More of the boss.
His jab plays a key role in this setup as well. It's not just a tool for maintaining the distance, it's a trigger for reactions. By constantly touching an opponent's guard or flicking to the body, he forces them to respond, allowing him to read their patterns and exploit openings. Bivol's pendulum footwork is another crucial aspect of his countering ability, as it allows him to glide in and out of range effortlessly.
Max, as we get ready for Sergey Kovalev, is considerably more prominent. Light heavyweight Gennady Golovkin, an athlete.
Roy Jones Jr. is basement.
I mean, he was boxing nicely as that, and he just got sloppy. He came tall. His hands.
This makes him difficult to pin down, as he can step in with quick jabs and immediately retreat before an opponent can fire back. Against Beterbiev, he did just this, using this dynamic footwork to draw out attacks and create countering opportunities. At one point he was actually able to bait Beterbiev into throwing a jab before shifting into a southpaw stance mid-movement, firing back with a sharp left hand, exploiting the openings with both precision and power. This was one other great example of how Bivol's ability to combine baiting, jab manipulation, and dynamic footwork into his counterpunching skill set. He doesn't just evade danger, he turns defensive movement into offensive opportunities. That's why he's one of the best counterpunchers in the sport.
Overhand rights being landed by Canelo.
Oh, look at Bivol. Look at him go. Oh, my word, Bivol. And Canelo wants more of it. Bivol starting to tee off. Zero blocking some of these. 6 years, 2018 was the last time he finished a fighter. And he's ready to go. Oh, corner, and they'll stop it. Dmitry Bivol.
It would be wrong if I didn't finish off with his combination punching. While he's naturally a cautious, calculated fighter, he knows exactly when to unleash these sharp, well-timed bursts of offense, and when to pull back to reset the tempo. One of his most effective tactics is how he occupies the opponent's guard before striking with precision. He often starts by probing with straight punches, forcing his opponent to tighten their defense. The moment they commit to blocking the center line, he whips a left hook around the guard, exploiting the gap they unknowingly created. From there, he seamlessly transitions back to straight punches, keeping his attacks unpredictable and difficult to anticipate. Another key to the success is how he subtly changes the trajectory of his punches, whether angling his jab slightly upward or turning over the right hand at the last moment. Bivol makes it incredibly difficult for opponents to read, react, or effectively defend. This variation, combined with quick exits after landing, keeps his opponents hesitant and second guessing when and where their next attack will come from. Perhaps the most striking aspect of Bivol's combinations is how mechanically precise they are. It's almost like watching him on the double M bag. Each punch is delivered with intent, accuracy, and just enough power to make an impact on his opponent, all while maintaining perfect balance and control. Unlike other volume punchers who look to overwhelm, Bivol rarely overcommits. After landing his combination, he often shifts back onto the back foot, resetting his rhythm again to keep his opponent guessing. His ability to seamlessly blend offense and defense, attack in bursts, then disengage before countering immediately, is what makes his combination punching so effective. He doesn't just throw punches, he constructs sequences designed to break down an opponent, piece by piece, forcing them into mistakes, while always staying one step ahead. Now let's look at Artur Beterbiev, and he could arguably be the embodiment of controlled destruction, a fighter who seamlessly blends raw power with calculated precision. While his approach may not fully align with the traditional Soviet boxing school we've seen with Bivol and in the amateurs, his foundation remains deeply rooted in its principles: technical soundness, relentless discipline, and tactical efficiency. However, Beterbiev is not just a methodical Eastern European technician. Unlike the sharp reactive counterpunching of someone like Bivol, Beterbiev's style is built around pressure, physical dominance, and unshakable belief in his power. His approach is closer to that of the Kazakh Gennady Golovkin, utilizing a structured yet violent offensive style, designed to systematically break down his opponents, piece by piece.
And let me put it this way. I'll give you the mindset. When he fought Gvadzik, a lot of people, I assume rightfully so, had him losing after, say, 4 rounds, right? Mm-hmm. At no time in the corner, in my mind, was I worried in the least bit, because 12 rounds in the ring with this guy is an unbelievably long time. And you can see every round gets worse and worse and worse.
Beterbiev's approach isn't reckless aggression though. It's a calculated seek and destroy warfare. He doesn't waste punches or rush in blindly. Instead, he patiently cuts off the ring, manipulating his opponent's positioning and forcing them into situations where they can't escape his power. His ability to close the distance with short explosive steps and maintain perfect balance at all times makes him one of the most dangerous finishers in boxing. Despite his reputation as a knockout artist, Beterbiev's boxing IQ, in my opinion, is often overlooked. He's a fighter who carefully studies his opponents, making precise reads on their habits, weaknesses, and reactions before committing to his offense. His economy of movement and defensive awareness allow him to walk opponents down without taking unnecessary damage, ensuring that every exchange happens on his terms for the most part. At its core, Beterbiev's style is a masterclass in controlled aggression that is not just looking to win rounds, but to knock you out. But now let's look at the aspects that make him so formidable. Before diving into his punch selection, it's crucial to understand how Beterbiev applies pressure to systematically break down his opponents. Unlike his counterpart in Dmitry Bivol, who uses more fluid pendulum steps, Beterbiev's footwork is more about efficiency and control, built for a come-forward fighter rather than an outboxer. His movement is simple but highly effective. Small, shuffling steps forward, never compromising his stance or balance, while his lead foot remains pointed at his opponent, allowing him to maintain constant forward pressure while keeping himself in position to strike. He doesn't rush in recklessly, but instead times his attacks when his opponent is stationary, trapped in the ropes, or caught in mid-attack. However, when his subtle footwork isn't enough to close the gap, Beterbiev uses explosive bursts to force his way in. One of his go-to tactics is a lunging jab, similar to that of the gazelle punch, but with a key difference. He keeps his weight centered rather than overcommitting forward, allowing him to remain balanced during and after the attack. Another method he employs is the forward shift technique, which has been used by fighters like Golovkin and Dmitry Bivol, where he steps through after a punch, closing the gap and instantly forcing his opponent into panic mode. Whether pressed forward behind a stiff jab, lunging in with an overhand right, or shifting forward mid-combination, Beterbiev's pressure is never reckless. It's calculated, structured, and suffocating.
Where he's found himself in trouble in the past.
He doesn't want to be leaning against some ropes against a guy like Beterbiev.
Special because he's able to generate power, you don't need like a big space. He can knock you out. If you remember a knockout like George Foreman with Michael Moore, like boom.
Beterbiev's trademark short punches are deceptively powerful, carrying the force of haymakers despite appearing like arm punches. Although he might have a natural gift, I feel it's a result of his solid footwork, unwavering balance, and training to maximize punching power at close range, making it truly formidable. Maybe at the heart of his offense is that traditional yet devastating jab, a punch that does far more damage than just establishing range. His shotgun jab is a thing of true force, jolting opponents off balance and setting the stage for his other power shots. It's truly a weapon that disrupts rhythm and forces opponents onto the back foot.
Out of his mouth. He took this fight on short notice. And then that'll be a knockdown.
Ironically though, to set up some of his biggest punches, Beterbiev probes with lighter shots at times, using it as a way to occupy the opponent before delivering a devastating right hand.
Spectacle, but undoubtedly the fight that you just referenced was the most significant of the last century. As Beterbiev comes clocking in with a right hand, and then another short punch scores the first knockdown of his night.
To make his offense even harder to read, he'll sometimes use subtle level changes to target both the head and the body, forcing opponents to stay cautious in terms of where the next attack will come. By dipping slightly before attacking, he actually disguises where he's aiming for. Because he has so much power, his competitors truly have no choice but to get out of the way or cover up. Even the most mobile of fighters eventually slow down and succumb to his power. Although he's known for his aggressive offense, Beterbiev's ability to land counterpunches, particularly in between his opponent's shots, adds another layer of danger to his arsenal. Unlike traditional counterpunchers, who rely heavily on slipping and ducking, Artur actually prefers to stay in the pocket, using the high guard and subtle movements to absorb or deflect punches, all while keeping himself balanced and ready to fire back. But what sets him apart is how he times his punches mid-exchange. When opponents try to punch their way out of pressure, Beterbiev often anticipates their rhythm and makes them hesitant to throw combinations, knowing that he can punish them with any openings. While he's also very capable of countering going backwards, while not a main tactic in his book, he still possesses a serious threat when defending, and has caught people coming in recklessly by setting up a counter overhand right, showing he's able to adapt if the situation requires it.
That's what Beterbiev has. Yes. Machine. He's heavy-handed, but look at the timing right there. Joe Smith Jr. as he's coming in. Same knockdown here, timed it perfectly right on the temple, which took the legs of Joe Smith Jr. Oh, right hand. Set him up. Beterbiev moving to his right. What did he do? Whoop. Looked for that jab from mid-range. Came right over the jab, timed it perfectly with the right hand.
Beterbiev's real mauling begins once opponents slow down from accumulated damage. Early in his pro career, he often would go all out after hurting an opponent, but he's shown a more calculated approach today that makes him even more dangerous in my opinion. Just watch his brutal dismantling of Marcus Brown for one example. Fighters that use the high guard and are stationary, he rips body shots, sneaks in uppercuts, and loops hooks around the guard, often stringing together 4 to 5 punch combinations, breaking down his opponent piece by piece. Not to mention he pivots out and creates angles in these positions, often using framing techniques with his lead forearm to simply control his opponent on the inside while setting up his next clubbing shot, adding further pressure while setting up short, powerful hooks. It's no wonder few fighters survive once Beterbiev gets inside and imposes his brutal, systematic breakdown. And we possibly have to give great credit to Dmitry Bivol, who didn't let him get into these positions in the first fight. Nevertheless, it'll be interesting to see if he does it in the rematch. Both Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol exemplify the brilliance of high-level technical boxing, showcasing distinct styles that have made them a dominant force in the sport, blending technical mastery and strategic sophistication. Bivol's fluid movement, rhythmic control and defensive poise make him an elusive force, while Beterbiev's relentless pressure, calculated power punching, and high ring IQ as well ensures dominance in close-range exchanges. Together, these two fighters showcase not only the evolution of classic boxing principles, but also their ability to adapt in the pros and thrive in today's highly competitive landscape, which was proven in their first fight. With both fighters having been in the ring with each other now, I for one will be in the edge of my seat once again on February 22nd, when these two elite pugilists once again enter the ring. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Who do you think will win in the rematch?